Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about understanding the likelihood scale. This is really the first part of learning probability. Our likelihood scale, it's described in both numbers and words, and we can use fractions, decimals, or percents, which is why it's important for us to know how to convert between those, and we're going to talk about that during this video as well. So our likelihood scale is on a scale from impossible, something could never happen. Like, for example, today when I'm recording this video, it's going to be 95 degrees outside. It is absolutely impossible that it's going to snow today. Okay, that is, there's a 0% chance of that, which means that the value we give to impossible is 0. And the good thing about the number 0, and forgive me for my terrible on-screen handwriting, I do my best. 0 is really easy to convert to a fraction, a decimal, and a percent because it's all just 0, right? So if something is impossible, it has a 0 likelihood. It has a 0% chance of occurring, and its fraction would be, well, 0. Okay. If something is unlikely to happen, that kind of means that it could happen, but it's not probable. Okay, so if we're unlikely to have something happen, those values fall between 0 and half. It's not going to be 0 and it won't be half, but it'll fall in between those values. So what we're looking at are values are anything that is greater than 0, so x will be our anything, and less than 0.5 or half. So those fractions, you could have, people really like using 25% here, and it's just based on the way that I have this spaced. But it could be 0.25. That would work. And 0.25 as a fraction is a quarter. That would be an unlikely probability. You could have 0.3, 0.3. That fits here. Okay, that's 3 out of 10. Those are unlikely to occur. So, for example, there could be a 20% chance that it's going to rain today. It is unlikely that we're going to see rain. Okay, 20% chance that it's not going to rain means that there's an 80% chance, 20% chance that it is going to rain means that there's an 80% chance that it's not going to rain. So it is not likely to rain today. All right, as likely as not, or you'll hear us also say equally likely. If something is equally likely to occur, we would say there's a 50-50 chance of that occurring. For example, flipping a coin. You have a 50% chance of getting heads and a 50% chance of getting tails. And that decimal value for as likely as not or equally likely is 0.5. That percent would be 50%, right? And that decimal is a half. Trying to think if something else would be equally likely. Sometimes it's hard off the top of your head. If I have a deck of cards, we have 2 different colors in a deck of cards, a standard deck of cards. You have your red suits, hearts and diamonds, and your black suits, spades and clubs. So if I shuffle it, there is an equally likely chance, or it is as likely as not, that I'm going to pull a red card as I would pull a black card. Okay, so if something is likely to occur, that means it's somewhere between half, not half, because half is exactly equally likely. So it has to be greater than half, but less than certain. What number do you think certain might be? And everyone said 1. Yeah, certain is the number 1. If something is absolutely going to happen, the likelihood is 1. That percent is 100%. And we don't have to write that as a fraction because it's a whole number 1. So when we're moving back down the scale a little bit to things that are likely to occur, we're looking at things that are between half and 1. So it has to be something greater than half and less than the number 1. Again, because of the way I have it spaced, we just want to say 0.75. Yeah, that would be likely to occur. If there was a 75% chance that today it was going to rain, I wish, it's hot and droughty, then we would expect there to be rain. But 51% or 0.51 could also be likely. 0.6 likely. 0.99 still falls in that likely category. So our breakdown for our absolutes, it is impossible, 0. It is certain, 1. 50-50 chance, as likely as not, half. It's when you are unlikely and likely that there's some flexibility in your values. So let's look at some examples. I'm going to have to move my face here because I'm in the way of my own examples. There we go. All right. So if we have a 100-page book, think about, is it possible for us to open it to page 300? What is the likelihood that we're going to take a 100-page book, pop it open, and it's going to land on page 300? Well, that's impossible, okay? I am not going to write this. I'm going to type it. It'll look better. It is impossible because we don't have 300 pages in our book. So we could write that as a fraction, and that fraction could be, you could have a 0 out of 100 chance because there's only 100 pages and exactly none of them are page 300. And we could say that there's a 0 likelihood that that's going to occur. What about opening a 100-page book to a page numbered greater than 10? Think about how many pages are numbered greater than 10 in a 100-page book. Well, we would have 90 of those. So our fraction here would be 90 out of 100, which is the same thing as 9/10. And that means it would be likely, very, very likely, that we're going to open it up to a page greater than 10. Bear with me while I'm shifting stuff around. Okay. What about opening a 100-page book to a page numbered less than 51? Think about the numbers of a book. We start at 1, we go to 100. So how many pages are below 51? Well, we have 1 through 50. So there are 50 pages that are less than 51. And 50 out of 100 is the same thing as half. So it is as likely as not that we're going to open it to one that's greater than 50, or greater than 51 and then less than 51. So it is equally likely. Let's look at another example. What if we open a 100-page book to a page numbered less than 1,000? Well, all of our pages are numbered less than 1,000. The numbers 1 through 100, all less than 1,000, which means that it is certain that we're going to be opening our book to a page less than 1,000. And certain has the likelihood of 1. Certain, 1. All right. What if we open our book to exactly page 45? So we have to think to ourselves, how many pages are numbered 45 out of a 100-page book? There's only going to be one page that's 45. So we have one page that's 45 out of 100 total pages. Do you think that's certain? Likely? As likely as not? Unlikely? Or impossible? Well, it's pretty unlikely to occur. We are not likely to open it up to exactly page 45. There's only one of them, and 1 out of 100 are not great odds for us. So let's think about 4 more examples. What is the likelihood that school will be in session tomorrow? Well, whenever you're watching this video, it's going to kind of depend on what day of the week it is. If it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, you're going to have school tomorrow. Is it completely certain? Could there be a fire in the building? Could there be some kind of weather event? Sure. So it's not certain that we'll be in school tomorrow, especially if it's a Friday, because I will not be here on Saturdays. I don't know about you guys. I take my weekends off. So I would say, because we can't predict the future, but we can know what's pretty close to happen, I would say that school will be in session tomorrow. That's likely. Okay. What about if we have school that you're going to wear shoes? You best wear shoes. The floors are gross. And if you walk into a public bathroom barefoot, and I'm pretty sure they are not even going to let you come in school without shoes. So if you're coming to school tomorrow, the probability that you're wearing shoes to school is certain. You kind of have to. And thank goodness. All right. The chance of rain is 10%. Is it impossible that it's going to rain? Is it unlikely that it's going to rain? Is it as likely as not? Is it likely? Is it certain? Well, a 10% chance of rain is pretty small. That means there's a 90% chance that it's not going to rain, or that it's not going to rain at all, which means that this is unlikely to occur. All right. And we flip a coin and it lands on heads. How many options do you have there for how a coin lands? Well, we only have two options. We have heads and we have tails. So when you have only two choices, 1 out of 2 is the same as half. Oh no, there's an announcement. I'm going to pause. Okay, sorry about the announcement. I just do one take videos, so there we go. At least I paused it so you didn't have to hear the whole thing. Okay, so we flip a coin and it lands on heads. We have a 1 out of 2 chance, and half, that means it's as likely as not. As likely as not. All right. Oh, that looks like hat. If you're in my class, you have probably gotten used to, or will be getting used to, my terrible handwriting. If you're, there we go, with Miss Peebles, she has beautiful handwriting. All right. So let's pop over to the next slide. I've got some more for you. So we're going to rank these scenarios based on their likelihood. And the key here is finding a common form for your numbers. So it says, according to market research, a business has a 75% chance of making money in the first 3 years. I'm going to write that down. According to lab testing, 5/6 of a certain kind of light bulb will work after 3 years. And according to experts, the likelihood of a car needing major repairs in the first 3 years is 7/10. Okay. That's a decimal point. So when we have 3 different forms, percent, fraction, and decimal, it's easiest to convert them all to the same form. And I will tell you the easiest way to convert them is just to your decimal form. So we don't have to do anything to 7/10. So how do I convert 75% to a decimal? So we've gone over this in class, but what you can do is you can take that number and divide it by 100, which is the same thing as moving our decimal 2 places to the left. So 75% becomes 0.75. Now with 5/6, and as we have talked about in class, let me get my handy dandy phone calculator for you so you can see. We're just going to simply divide our fraction. 5 divided by 6. 5 divided by 6. Boop. All right, so this is a repeating decimal, so I'm going to round it just to 0.83. So I have 0.83, 0.7, and 0.75. So which one is the least likely to occur of these 3 values? And the least likely to occur is going to be 7/10 here. It is the smallest of the 3 values. So this one we would rank as the least likely. I'll rank it number 1. The next, oh my gosh, and then I'm going to draw a black line in the middle of the screen. The next most likely to occur is going to be the 75% or 0.75. That's number 2. And then our most likely to occur is our light bulb. That would be number 3. So when we're working with likelihood and probability, we have to be able to be fluid between our fraction decimals and percent. Good luck. Let your teachers know if you need help.